Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw number 229, another 7 curious, interesting things I saw last week. So as ever, let's crack on. First one is Unitree and their new R1 robot, humanoid robot, and this is the cheap one. This is $5,999. The next one up is about $16,000, so this is kind of half price, I guess. It can do handstands, it can do cartwheelie type things. It's quite small, it is 1.2 meters, so not super tall, but it lasts about an hour. It's a lot of these kind of running shots. I don't know how long or how fast it can run for, but a lot of the videos do show it boxing you and generally being broadly sort of low-key violent. So I don't know what they think you're going to be doing with it, but there you go. It has its own onboard AI, so it has obviously speech, and then also uses that for its vision system as well, so it can recognize where it is and do, you know, obstacle avoidance and that sort of thing. If you want one of those, it is available. There is an educational version as well. Didn't know this was a thing. This is anti-juice checking cables, and of course they're a thing. If you maybe are in a public space or you run out of energy on your phone and you need to plug it in, you might be tempted to use one of those charge stations or maybe just even an outlet. Now you might therefore be susceptible to a hacker who is trying to inject your phone with some goop. So this is your protection. So you buy one of these, you plug it in, or there's an adapter you can put in between maybe the tethered cable and your phone, and therefore what it does is it just strips out the data, only leaves the power. So plenty of these are available. I didn't know they existed. Apparently they've been around for a long while, but there you go. If you think you need one of these, if you travel to maybe, you know, festivals and airports, you might need one of those. If you've been living in a cave, you might not know about this, but Google launched Nano Banana, which is their new image AI. It has great character consistency, which is one of the things that people are asking for a lot. It can combine a lot of objects. So if you just say like, put this with this with this, it can do a great result. It knows about how to do style transfer and even the sort of the eras of music as well. If you want to do that, it can do multi-step editing. So give it a room, give it lots of steps to do style transfer again, for instance. And all of these are from Atomic Gaines' video, by the way. Really, really good video. Just rattles through a whole load of use cases. It's only been out for a week, so people are still trying to discover what it can do. But there's some really, really interesting features that start to approach what Photoshop is doing. Text is good, by the way, but it can do some really cool things like these different camera views. Give it one shot and it will then generate what that might look like from a different camera angle, which is really good if you're then trying to do B-roll, for instance. You can get your one piece of footage and it will give you a different view, and then you can use that as the starting frame for your video using something like VO3. This is a good example. You know, obviously you've got a burger, make it look nicer. You can then expand it and then you can use that as the starting point of a video, for instance. And you can also do it, as I say, combining lots of things. So if you put all of these people, make it look like they're doing a selfie, it looks really good. So this is all part of Gemini 2.5 Flash. So if you go to your website and or go into the web and go to Gemini and you start playing around with the Gemini AI, this will be the image generator, but it's also already embedded in lots of AI platforms as well. So really, really interesting and very good. This was cool. I saw this on Reddit, so I thought I'd give it a go. You can edit images using audio software. So this is Audacity. You save your image as a BMP file, which is an old school kind of uncompressed format. Load it in as a raw audio file, and you can then just start putting echoes and delays and fades and all sorts of stuff. You then save it off, change it to a BMP again, and this is what you get at the end of it. You get this kind of really creative, weird nonsense. You don't know quite what you're going to get, but it's really interesting that I just love the serendipity of that. So technology plus creativity, creating a little bit of chaos, a little bit of, and you can also do things like, by the way, which is great, you can do 2 images and combine them as stereo tracks into one, and then you can save that out as well, and you start to combine images. So I'd love to see somebody take this to the next level and, you know, actually create something useful out of it, quite frankly. This is a great use of drones. So this is Everest, and there's a lot of trash on Everest, or rubbish as we call it in the UK. So 600 people apparently climb Everest, which is quite a lot of people. Each of them generates about 8 kilograms of trash, and Sherpas removed 10 tons of trash last year, apparently, which is a lot. So Airlift Ventures have figured out that if you use a big cargo drone, then you can then take away a bunch of that using drones, and it saves, you know, humans having to do it, which obviously, you know, it's quite important that humans are around looking after each other rather than just shoveling trash about. So apparently 70% of the trash is now being removed from the mountain using this. So very, very good, like that. Yeah, nicely done. This is going to be a little bit tricky to describe how this works, but it's really interesting, believe me. This is an AI image generator that uses almost, well, no electricity. Well, it uses almost no electricity, but it uses absolutely no processing, no computers, no code. So I'm not going to explain fully how diffusion models work, but if you generate an image with an AI, it uses a diffusion model. The reason it's called diffusion is it starts with kind of white noise, diffused noise, and through a process of clarification, essentially, it goes through layers and layers and layers, and that's what the computing does. The model knows what to do with each one of the layers to then turn it back into an image. So if you then train your model to know what each one of those layers should be, and you put those into a liquid crystal layer, and you shine some random light, you know, just using a light, and that's the energy essentially. All you need is a light source that illuminates the white noise, and it goes through each one of these plates of liquid crystal, essentially pre-pregnated layers of essentially data. It then affects the light with each one of those layers and eventually comes out onto a sensor, which can then start generating images. So if you start with different noise, it can then generate a different image. So this is trained on Van Gogh's style, and it can then, so each one of these images, if you look in the third column, is what's been generated by this system. So it's like, it's organic, no energy, artificial intelligent image generation. Just bonkers. Hopefully I described that enough, but this is really, really interesting. Not necessarily going to be the future, but it might be, who knows. And finally, we have Royal Mail post boxes with solar panels on top. Now, why would you want one of these? Well, posting letters is really not a thing. In fact, in Denmark, they've actually stopped delivering letters now. So how do you fight the likes of, you know, Every and DHL and those sorts of things if letters are going away? So what you do is you put your solar panel on top, which therefore means you can have a parcel scanner and a parcel tray within your post boxes. 3,500 of these are rolling out around the UK. They actually launched in Hertfordshire and Cambridgeshire, but they're going into Edinburgh, Nottingham, Sheffield, Manchester. So there you go, and they've got a little barcode scanner so that it goes onto the network and registers it and all that sort of stuff. So if that goes well, then it might just give a little bit of a lease of life for the Royal Mail. There you go, interesting. Hopefully it was. If it was, give it a like, and I'll see you next week.